Hey Freedom Lovers, this is Dr. Peterson Pierre with America's Frontline Doctors bringing you today's Daily Dose. Once the first SSRI entered the market in 1988, Prozac quickly distinguished itself as a particularly dangerous medication. And after 9 years, the FDA had received 39,000 adverse event reports for Prozac, a number far greater than for any other drug. This included hundreds of suicides, atrocious violent crimes, hostility and aggression, psychosis, confusion, distorted thinking, convulsions, amnesia, brain zaps, a feeling that your brain no longer works right, and sexual dysfunction. Long-term or permanent sexual dysfunction is one of the most commonly reported side effects from antidepressants, which is ironic given that the medication is supposed to make you less, not more depressed. SSRI homicides are common, and a website exists that has compiled thousands upon thousands of documented occurrences. In most cases, where a mass school shooting has happened and it was possible to know the medical history of the shooter was taking a psychiatric medication that was known for causing these behavioral changes. However, the idea that SSRIs cause mass shootings is treated with widespread ridicule and animosity in a manner not that different from how anyone who claimed that the COVID vaccines were not safe and effective was treated in 2020. Much like the vaccine industry, the psychiatric industry will always try to absolve their dangerous medications of responsibility and will aggressively gaslight their victims. Despite these criticisms, there are 3 facts that can consistently be found throughout the literature on akathisia homicides, which irrefutably implicate psychiatric medications as the cause of violent homicides. 1. These violent events occur in people of all ages who by all objective and subjective measures were completely normal before the act and where no precipitating factors besides the psychiatric medication could be identified. 2. The events were preceded by clear symptoms of akathisia, which is basically restlessness. 3. The violent offenders returned to their normal personality when they came off the antidepressant. Violent psychotic reactions from SSRIs can manifest as both suicides and homicides. There's extensive documentation to support the occurrence of SSRI suicides, and while the psychiatric profession still uses an endless litany of excuses to deny this happens, many antidepressants now have a black box warning from the FDA for the occurrence of suicide. The side effects were definitely known to result from those drugs as far back as their early clinical trials, which of course were hidden from everyone, and a mountain of evidence proving this regularly occurs has accumulated since these drugs entered the market, which led the FDA to them having to find numerous unscrupulous ways to conceal that danger, such as silencing employees who saw it, ignoring rampant clinical trial fraud by the manufacturers, publishing a fraudulent metadata analysis to erase it, and stonewalling Congress during hearings on the drugs. In the 90s, school shootings transitioned from being very rare to, unfortunately, a frequent facet of American life. As this timeline overlaps with the entrance of these drugs to the US market and the populace suddenly being flooded with psych drugs, many articles have evaluated the link between mass shootings and psychiatric medications. Ladies and gentlemen, only the truth will set you free. Stay tuned for the next Daily Dose.